Woo! What's going on, guys? Orms Forum coming at you today with a video. And today's video, we're going to talk about some OTAs, some off-season stuff that the Lions are doing. The whole NFL is kind of going through those rigors right now. So those guys are going through those motions. They're getting it done. OTAs. We wrapped up the first week of OTAs. I believe it was this Friday. And media, Lions beat writers, and I'll get to those guys in a second too. Those guys finally got a chance to watch live. It was open to the media there. Everything's kind of closed off right now at the beginning of all these off-season workouts. And we finally got some information from the Detroit Lions beat writers overall. Just the one day. This is going to be a lengthy video, but if you guys aren't with me before and you're new to my channel, I appreciate the support. Thank you. What I kind of like to do, or what I've liked to do over the years, I love to get the reports from the Lions beat writers, and I follow guys like, I got it all written down. John Macaron, he does podcasts. Well, I got them all written down here. I should know them by name though. John Macaron, Jeff Risdon, Jeremy Reisman, Tim Twentyman, usually Eric Schlitt. I don't think Eric Schlitt put any observations out over the weekend, but he's usually a go-to guy too as well. I get all their information. I write it down and I report it myself. I take no credit for it. I take zero credit for that. I give those guys all the credit. I give you the info that they give us, and I kind of give you my opinions on what's going on in Detroit with our Detroit Lions players, coaches, whoever. So they get all that credit, guys. So I love writing it down. You know, I get it all through social media, through Facebook, Twitter, anything that I can kind of get my hands on. And I get it down there, and I hope you guys can enjoy this. But like I said, the media only gets to go early in these OTAs, these mini camps. They don't get a lot of opportunities to get there until training camp. Training camp is when it's like fully open to the media, to the public. But right now, it's just very sparingly that we're going to get some information from our Detroit Lions beat writers. So I give out their takeaways, and then I tell you kind of what's going on. And there's a lot of stuff written, so I kind of like took it from like 4 or 5 different beat writers, and those guys do a really bang up job. But let's get right to it right away. Some out guys, some limited guys that were out for sure and or limited. Okay, defensive tackle had Aleem McNeil. He's got that ACL still recovering. Probably won't be back till 4 or 5 months. 4 or 5 months, 4 or 5 games into the season. So don't expect to see him in September. You might not even see him in October. I'm guessing the end of October though. That's just a guess. Linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez was still coming off an ACL as well. He wasn't at practice. They were just out limited. Nose tackle rookie Tyleik Williams got a hamstring. He kind of tweaked it. He's had some injuries in college. You know, the rookie out of Ohio State kind of tweaked himself too at the NFL Combine this year. Lions really liked him. They took him in the first round, but he wasn't at practice on Friday either. Defensive lineman Mekhi Wingo, he had a knee meniscus surgery. You know, he was one of the guys that got hurt last year. Linebacker Derek Barnes, MCL, PCL surgery as well. He wasn't at practice on Friday. Cornerback Khalil Dorsey, tibula-fibula surgery. He had that. He was out as well. Running back David Montgomery with an MCL. I think he's got some ribs going on as well. Now there's some unexpected to be out and are limited, that these guys that we didn't think we thought that we're gonna practice and whatnot. Wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, no injury, probably just a rest day. Nose tackle Broderick Martin with a right knee last year. They're still kind of limiting him. Defensive lineman Levi Muzarike. It sounds like a load management thing. He had a back injury last year. He's had a back injury for the past couple of years. Defensive lineman Josh Pascal. He had a right knee last year. Nose tackle DJ Reader, left shoulder last year, so they didn't practice, so they're still kind of nursing that. Linebacker Jack Campbell, he had a minor hip surgery after the offseason that just came out as well. Cornerback Terry Arnold had a right foot later on in the season as well. I believe it was week 14. Safety Brian Branch had a right leg last year. Guard rookie Miles Frazier, don't really know what was going on with him, but he was not practicing. Tight end Kenny Yeboah, I think is the guy that we picked up from the Jets. Core muscle, it sounds like he had some core muscle problems going on last year with another team. Defensive lineman Miles Adams, don't know what was going on with him, maybe some load management. Wide receiver rookie Isaac Tesla, he wasn't practicing either on Friday, don't know what was going on with him. And then running back Sione Vaikai, he had a right knee last year as well too. So those guys were kind of unexpected, but they were out and or limited for Friday's practice. And remember, this is only for one day, guys. This is just a one-day information thing that all these guys put out there. So it's a 6-dayer. It's 6 days broken up into 2 weeks. So 3 days and 3 days. So that's all it is. So I think it starts tomorrow again for week 2, and it just goes for 3 days. Now, absent from OTAs. Now, this is the one that's getting a little bit of, that's getting some traction, but I don't think it's that serious just yet. Linebacker Alex Anzalone. Apparently, there's a contract thing going on with him. He is on his last year as a Detroit Lion. I think it has to do with some guaranteed money. I'm not 100% sure, but he probably wants some assurities that he's going to be okay in the future. I don't really know too much about what's going on, but apparently it's contract issues. We'll learn more about this as we go. There's all kinds of different stuff out there that he wants an extension, that he just wants some guarantees. So we don't really know too much yet, but it sounds like it's contractual. That's what Dan Campbell's kind of alluding to. He's not saying really anybody's name, but those two guys were absent. Well, the second guy was center Frank Ragnow. He's apparently looking for, he's got 2 more years on his deal, I believe, and he's looking for some guaranteed money too. I think he has 0 guaranteed money in the next 2 years for 2025 and then 2026. So it's possible that he's looking for just guarantees as well. So you push some of that money that he's making now into like a signing bonus, however they do it. That's why they have capologists. That's why they have professionals that work on the money, and they get that done. It's not going to be an extension where we get hit in the salary cap or like some type of cap hit. I wouldn't think, but just push a little bit of money into some signing bonuses. I really don't know what's going on with him either, but they're saying that he's a possible cut candidate back in 2026 next year. It does save the Lions $12.5 million with a $3.6 million cap hit. I can't see the Lions moving on for him just yet. I know a couple years ago he was, contemplating retirement. That foot was mangled. It's still mangled. But last year, there was no talks of him retiring. He clearly came out and goes, no, I'm not ready to retire just yet. Back, 2 years ago I was, or a year ago I was. But now I feel better. I feel better. The foot's still horrible. It's terrible foot. Those turf toes or whatever they get, they never fully heal. They don't. They possibly lose toes. Deion Sanders has like 8 toes. He's a corner. You guys know who Deion Sanders is, and he had a terrible turf toe through a lot of his career. So Ragnow seems to be going through something like that as well too, but he wants some guarantee money. That's the rumor, and then they'll probably work on that and try and get some guaranteed cash up front for those guys and give them a little bit of a surety. So let's get into it, guys. Okay, this is going to be kind of all over the place. I'm going to be talking, riddles and rhymes. So try and keep up with me. Like I said, I get information from 4 or 5 of these guys, and I just kind of write it all down at once. And I don't try to repeat myself, but if I do, bear with me. So some takeaways. They're going young at center. They're going young on the O-line. You know how they drafted a couple O-linemen. They went young last year with Mahogany. They're going young at center. Now, Ragnow holding out, for more guaranteed money, it sounds like. So they're trying different options, right? Sorsdal is an option. They're trying to get him going. I personally think Colby Sorsdal is probably on the brink of being cut or possibly, just released. It's not really working out, man. I think it's his 4th year now. I don't know if he's going to be a guard or a tackle. Now they're trying him at center. So, that kind of, it's a little bit of a desperation move, but they're trying to get him going as well. So Ratledge too, Tate Ratledge, the second round pick out of Georgia, the rookie. They're putting him at center as well too. A lot of first team snaps going on with Tate Ratledge with Ragnow being out and not even at the facility. So he only played strictly guard in college as well too. So they're trying to, they're cross-training him, man. They're cross-training him. They're going to train him at center. They're going to train him at guard, and they're going to go from there. All in all, I think that they're probably going to, find a replacement for Ragnow sooner than later. Ragnow's only 29, but it feels like he's been here for 15 years. It really does. But he's only 29. He's had a lot of injuries. He's a Pro Bowl lineman. I think he's made a couple second team All Pros. I don't know if he's ever been a first team All Pro, but he does have the All Pro label, and he's not going to be easy to replace. But there's guys on this roster right now that are fighting for that possible center job. You still got Glasgow. I don't really know what's going to go on with him. Kingsley Aguakin. They got Michael Neese. Those type of guys out there that are going to be fighting for a center spot, but that's not easily replaceable to a guy like Ragnow. He's the heart and soul of that old line, in my opinion. Maybe not the most talented. I think Sewell's obviously the most talented, but Ragnow's the heart and soul. Now, Enos Rakestraw, the second round pick from last year, disaster rookie season. Only played in 8 games, hurt, healthy scratch. He was on the first team gunner for special teams, and he was working with the first team defense with Terrion Arnold out, like I kind of alluded to earlier. So he's focusing on the outside cornerback spot, opposite DJ Reed, who we picked up from, who played for the Jets and is a pretty good cornerback. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Carlton Davis, but it's smaller. It's kind of like a Carlton Davis, but smaller. That's what DJ Reed kind of reminds me of. I guess he held his own against J-Mo and 1 rep, but he did have a dropped interception. That can't happen. You got to make plays because guys like, Rakestraw, he's getting the opportunities. But if you don't capitalize right away, you're going to be on the sidelines. You're literally going to be on the sidelines, and these small opportunities, these small windows, you have to make plays. Because when Arnold comes back, or comes back from whatever he is, as if it was rest, if he was a little bit nicked up, whatever he was, he's not gonna get a lot of opportunities when Arnold comes back. That's the way it goes in the NFL. There's starters, there's center, there's second best guys, there's third best guys, and say there's 20 snaps between 3 guys or 2 guys. Say it's Arnold and Rakestraw and just someone else. Okay, Arnold's gonna get 13, 14 of those snaps. It's just a quick the comparison. Arnold's going to get 12 to 13 of those snaps. You're going to see Rakestraw get a few, and then the other guy get a few. So it's few and far between. You really have to make a splash right away. You've got to get heads turned of the coaches. You don't get those heads turned, there's going to be problems, man. You have to make plays. And he had a drop pick. That's not good. He was beat a few times, but he rebounded nicely and showed why they kind of made the move to keep him on the outside with DJ Reed for now. That can all change. DJ Reed even saying, look out for Rakestraw. Campbell said that as well. Jack Campbell, the linebacker out of Iowa that we drafted a couple years ago. Now, Anzalone. Campbell's not really too concerned. Is it about the money? The guaranteed money? Remember, Anzalone did not participate in OTAs last year. So he's a seasoned vet. These things are voluntary, not mandatory. So it's a good thing right there. It's kind of a positive. He wasn't here last year. No big deal. But the rumor is it's a little bit about money. And we'll see what's going on with that a little bit down the future. Now, Goff, he wants more responsibilities in this offense. I take this as, and Dan Campbell's agreeing with it. Him and Morton, I kind of are like apparently challenging each other in a good way. It's competition. This kind of tells me that Ben Johnson, and I got nothing bad to say about Ben Johnson. I don't wish him any type of success though, because he is a Bear. He is the Bears head coach, but I got nothing against him. But this kind of tells me that he kind of, I'm not saying he put a leash on Goff, but it was like he controlled him a little bit more, because Goff wants to like when you say you want more responsibilities, you want more part of the offense, you want to be part of that offense, you want to run that offense kind of your way a little bit more than you did years prior. It kind of tells me that they put a handcuff on him a bit. It really does. Now, I do remember Goff audibling a lot, so I can't really say what's right and what's not. But it just kind of tells me that maybe Ben Johnson kind of maybe put the cuffs on him just a little bit, and he ran it Ben Johnson's way. And that's the way it is. It's his offense. It was his offense, and that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. But this kind of tells me that Goff wants more responsibilities. He wants to be a big part of this offense and run it a little bit his way. So maybe there was some, not animosity or anything, but maybe there was just, it was just a little bit more control that Ben Johnson had him on a leash a bit. That's just my opinion. Totally my opinion. I could be way off base. And then with Tate Ratledge, the rookie, like I said, he's taking center snaps. 1C, I'm repeating myself. Rags out, cross-training, blah, blah, blah. See, I just repeated myself. Sorry, guys. Hutchinson, Aiden Hutchinson, number 97, back, baby. Looks good. He's got the sleeve, got the compression sleeve on his left leg. I think he looks really good. We haven't seen too many videos. We saw the videos on Insta. If you follow him on Instagram and you see him on Facebook and stuff like that, he's moving well. He's moving well. We're not getting a lot of videos, but he puts some stuff out himself on his own IG account. And we saw a little bit with some reels going on. He's moving well. Campbell says he's moving well. Kelvin Shepherd says he looks explosive. He's touching the grass. He's bending low. He's getting down. He's getting parallel. So it's not like he doesn't look like he skipped a beat. Some of the beat writers are saying he doesn't look like he skipped a beat. He looks just as disruptive, as much as a force as ever. Again now, guys, OTAs, no pads, just helmets, shorts, and jerseys. There's a no padding going on. So it's advantage defense. So what you're seeing, you're going to hear a lot, and you'll hear a lot about it in this one, that it's really heavily influenced for defense, because there's just no hitting. There's no hitting. Old linemen have trouble. So it's really OTAs are for the defense. They really are. But he's a full go. He's cleared to do everything. Week 2 looks like he's going to be good to go as well too. I don't know if they're going to do any load management up on him. They could, because man, a lot of injuries last year in 2024. But it doesn't look like he's lost his step, and he's expected to be 100% by week 1. That's according to guys like Dan Campbell, Kelvin Shepherd. You know what I mean? So we'll get more on that later. Wide receiver Khalif Raymond, we lost him as well last year. Goff loves him. He's kind of stepping in for St. Brown right now because St. Brown wasn't practicing on Friday. He's reliable. Goff likes him. So Raymond took over. He's getting open in the lanes. He's twitchy. He's fast. He's looking himself. He was also kick returner one as well. I think he was taking back punts as well as PR number 1 too. So he's just too experienced, and he's very well respected in that locker room, in that whole building. He's not going anywhere, in my opinion. There's a lot of guys saying he could be a camp cut. I think he's no worse than a wide receiver 4. As of right now, things could change. You never know, but there's going to be a little bit, I think, of a rotation between Patrick and Raymond for sure. 2 different types of wide receivers, though. Patrick's the bigger wide receiver who can body up on guys. Raymond's a lot faster, a lot quicker. You get him in some open spaces, and try and get some one-on-ones with him so he can, run against some linebackers or a safety or whatever and try and get first downs. But he's not going anywhere. He's wide receiver 4, I believe, at this point, with Isaac Tesla, the rookie, being wide receiver 5. That's right now as we speak. So things could change, but Raymond's going nowhere. He's a seasoned vet, and he's very well liked in that locker room. And he's got some talent. He's not just a scrub. Now the backup defensive end, some edge rushers. I guess Isaac Ukwa, a guy that they picked up as a UDFA last year, who was looking good in preseason. I think he's another guy that suffered a big injury, was out for the year. And then rookie Ahmed Hassanain popped a little bit. They had some good rush moves in there, and they got into the backfield and caused a little bit of chaos. Uku was involved in a lot of plays in the backfield. Shepard letting him know, Kelvin Shepard, our new defensive coordinator, who's very, very, very boisterous. And Hassanin could have really put the wood on quarterback 2, potentially Kyle Allen, on a really nice pass rush move, a spin that he does a lot. Hassanin, he needs to apparently work on his arsenal for pass rush moves, because he does that inside spin, I think, a little bit too much, apparently, to some Lions beat writers. And then obviously Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport are your number 1 and your number 2 guys as of right now, but I still expect some type of rotation. And I'm hoping for a Zadarius Smith signing, but it might not happen. Who knows? And then talking some trash, the guys talking trash out there. Kelvin Shepard, the defensive coordinator, and new running back coach, Tashard Choice, we're going after it. All in good fun, but letting each other know who won the battles. If this rings a bell, this happened before, man. This happened with, remember, running backs coach Deuce Staley, and you remember defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. They kind of did the same thing a couple years back, man. All in good fun, getting each other's faces, letting each other know whose unit won. Totally respectful, but those guys are they're loud guys, and they're just, apparently they're fun to watch. I can't wait to see some videos of it. So we like seeing that, and apparently Shepard was getting into with some wide receivers that were close to him too as well, kind of jawing back and forth. You gotta love that. Now some Marcus Davenport news. I guess he gave some fits to Sewell, on a couple reps. Like I said, there's literally no pads going on, but he's giving fits to the big man, and that's always good to hear, man. When you hear that Sewell needs to get work in, because he's getting beat a couple times. So Davenport's got that label, guys. He's got that injury label, and you can't dispute it. You can't argue it. He looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. Sometimes they say 6'6", 280 plus pounds, but doesn't play like it at times. But he has the talent. You could see the talent out there, but he's super injury prone. I hope he stays healthy. I really do, but I'm just not expecting it. I'm not trying to put no juju. I'm not trying to put no negative vibes out there, but it's just a guy that I don't have any faith in. That's why I want Smith coming back, but I don't know what they're going to do there. So I guess he had a few nice rushes. He knocked down a Goff pass. He dropped back into coverage. They were doing some coverage drills with some defensive ends as well. He got up there and he made a nice catch. So he's a little bit more athletic than you would think a 6'6", 280-pound man is. So remember, no contact. But Laporta, I guess, had a little bit of a run-in with. He ran into offensive coordinator John Morton, our new OC, and nobody injured. But it was kind of like he was running it in, and he kind of ran into Morton, kind of half hit him. And I guess they had, they jokingly, Laporta threw his towel up in the air and called a penalty. And got some laughs from everybody, but nobody was hurt in the process, which is good. But Morton's got to get out of the way. Get out of the way, man. Then Graham Glasgow news, jumping from center to right guard. I personally think that Graham Glasgow is going to be our backup center. I don't know if he's going to win a guard spot. I don't know if they're going to go super young at guard, because the two guards are really young. Mahogany's in there. You got Tate Ratledge. You got Miles Frazier. All young kids. Do they really want to go that route? We'll see what Graham Glasgow has to say. He's going to be a guy that's either going to lose those spots and win a backup spot as a center and accept it. That's it. But I think he's a guy that's possibly on the bubble. Graham Glasgow is on a bubble. I love Graham Glasgow, ex-Michigan guy. What's not to love? And then you got Mahogany mainly at left guard, first team. Coyote Awosika playing some right guard as well on the first team as well. So the Awosika's been around a little bit. He was a guy that they picked up, and I thought that he started a few games for the Lions over the years, and he's a pretty solid backup. He's nothing special, but it's going to be an interesting interior a battle for center. Well, center it's still Rags, but he's got to get that money thing figured out. But the guard positions it's going to be like a four-man rotation or four-man battle between Glasgow, Ratledge, Awosika, Miles Frazier. There's going to be some guys in there, man, trying to fight for spots. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens come summertime. Then they did some 7-on-7s, first team offense versus first team defense, 2 sessions, 12 total reps, broke it up in 6s. So first 6 reps went to the D. Joseph and Rake almost had picks. We need Rakestraw to make that play. Kirby can get away with, not having a pick and stuff like that because he's going to get his during the season. They paid him through the nose this year. He deserved to get paid, be the highest paid safety in the NFL. He is a ball hawk. He is a playmaker. He is our guy out there in the secondary that playing center field. And we love Kirby Joseph, man. And I guess he made some nice plays. He had a knockdown pass where he dove that was intended for Khalif Raymond. They did show him get beat though deep on a Laporta post, I believe it was, or I don't remember if it was a post or a flag, but whatever it was, Goff threw a dime. That's on one of those reels, and it was Kirby Joseph getting beat. So, but we know what Kirby Joseph brings to the table. But Rake needs to make those plays. Goff was 2 for 6 on that drill, so didn't look very good in the first 6 reps. Second session, Goff and the O were much better apparently in session 2. Raymond showing out, Laporta, Jamo, and Craig Reynolds all getting first down catches. Goff was 5 for 6, looking better in that segment. Now, many players sat out this practice. Like I said, no serious injuries. I kind of talked about them all. Campbell's being really cautious. If I didn't say that earlier, Campbell's being super cautious with a lot of guys. He really is. A lot of people, fans, non-fans of this football team, of the Lions, completely blame Dan Campbell for the injuries last year. I'm not one of those guys. This is football. If guys get hurt, it happens. Now, was there a couple incidents maybe where Dan Campbell should have pulled his guys a little bit earlier? Okay, I'm not going to argue that. But there was a lot of guys just getting hurt early on in the season. Early on in the first, second quarters. It wasn't all guys getting hurt in 30-point blowouts. And we still saw first teams out there, offense and defense. Players get hurt. It's just that simple. And we had a super bad luck of injuries last year that I think cost us at least to get to the NFC Championship game against the Eagles. We should have beat the Commanders. I'm not getting into it right now, but I can't wait to play that team because we are going to drum them, I think, this year when we go to Washington. I really do, because that's going to be stuck in their minds. So we had a lot of injuries that game. Goff didn't play well that game, though. Ben Johnson got away from the run. There's a couple fingers you can point at if you want in that football game, but bottom line, they're being cautious with injuries as of right now, and I think Campbell's going to do that. He probably hurt a lot, and it's not blaming. I'm not blaming him, but maybe he does take some of the blame. Maybe he should. Maybe he feels like that. This is kind of an indication that he's going to sit guys out, and he's not going to push guys out there, which is good. If there's guys a little bit nicked up, you don't need to go out there. You don't really need to go out there, man. You got nothing really to prove, especially with these older guys. The rookies and stuff like that, okay, some guys are going to want to push themselves to get out there. But be cautious, and I like that Campbell's being cautious. I think they really need to because the window's still open. So it was a disastrous 2024 with injuries. It just was disastrous. Can't talk about it enough. Then Grant Stewart, the linebacker that we kind of brought over from the Colts, he's out there making plays. He's a special team guy. He's kind of coming over and replacing Jalen Reeves-Maybin, who we didn't re-sign. I don't know if Maybin signed with any other football team. Maybin was a decent backup linebacker who was a stellar special teams core guy. And Grant Stewart was kind of that same guy in Indy, in the Colts. And I think that's what they're kind of trying to mimic there. But he's out there making plays, man. So you like that he's making plays. He's a really fiery linebacker. He's showing out there, which is really good. He's getting around blocks. He's filling in holes and gaps. He's blitzing. Again, no pads. So it's a little bit easier for defense, but it's still a good sign that you're seeing some of the new guys making some plays. Kelvin Shepard really loves this kid. Linebacker coach Sean Dion Hamilton really praising him out there too as well. Sean Dion Hamilton is kind of like a low-key kind of guy. He's not really a loud guy, but he was out there voicing his pleasure on what he was doing. And then Natane Mutai, I don't know if I'm getting him right. There was a guy that they picked up last year. I believe he was a Bronco for a couple of years. He played guard. He's another guy that went down in the IR. He was on the second team left guard, and he was getting some looks with the number ones as well. He was a guy that was actually playing really well last year in preseason and in camp. I believe it was camp. I don't know if he even got the preseason, but he was a guy that was looking good and was going to definitely get probably a backup role. Possibly even maybe win a starting job, but we had some pretty good guards last year. Glasgow didn't have a good season, but we had Zeitler who was really good for us. So he would have been definitely a backup. But I guess he's looking pretty decent out there early as well. He's back from injury. Giovanni Manu, the guy that Brad Holmes kind of traded up for last year, or traded some draft picks away to get. He was the second team left tackle. Dan Skipper was the second team right tackle. So, Manu apparently he was training with Decker. He went to LaCharles Bentley. If you know who LaCharles Bentley is, he was a really good offensive lineman for the Saints. That played a numerous amounts of years in the NFL, and he went to his camp as well. So Manu's trying to get better. I'll personally tell you though, that wasn't a pick that I really, really liked, but hopefully he can at least dress this year. He didn't dress once last year, guys. Not one time did Manu dress for one game. He's a project. I understand. He's a project, but we need to see him dressed this year. If he's taking second team left tackle spots, that means that they're kind of liking what they've seen from him early on, and hopefully he just goes up from there. And then second and third team O-line struggled. Remember, like I said, no pads. I can't stress it enough. But the D-line did take advantage. Hendon Hooker and Kyle Allen, two guys are in a quarterback two battle. It's a legit battle. A lot of people don't want to hear it, but it's real. They are in a battle. Had no time. There was all kinds of pressure on them. They didn't look very good, and we'll explain that in a little bit too. So those guys were getting harassed all day. Because the second and third team offensive line were just struggling with the verbiage, with just setting up, just chemistry. The chemistry isn't there. This is why they have these practices, and this is why that they need the mesh sooner than later, and it will happen, hopefully. And then Hooker, like I said, real quarterback two battle with Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen is not a great quarterback by any stretch. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and tell you Kyle Allen is an ex Tom Brady, because he's not even Johnny Brady. Like, you know what I mean? He's just a guy that's been in the NFL for a little bit, 7-8 years, whatever he's been in. He started like a few games. He has started a few games, like I think in the teens somewhere, probably by default. I don't think he's ever been a guy that's come in and beat a legit quarterback one, but he's a guy that has experience, been around. He's nothing special, but this is a legit quarterback two battle with Hooker. And Hooker hasn't been looking great. He didn't look great. Allen didn't look that good either. Like I said, they were getting harassed all day, but both didn't look good. They're pressured. Allen apparently looked a little bit better, according to a couple of the beat writers, but nobody really stood out. Hooker struggled mostly on his 6-on-6 drills, holding onto the ball too long. When players were open, I guess running back Craig Reynolds and undrafted free agent tight end Luke Deal were open. He just didn't see him. So he's holding on the ball too long. So the play got whistled dead. He was sacked, whatever he did. Then he did have a couple of nice throws, though. Lots of new faces at these positions. It's all about consistency. It's new guys, new faces. They got to get used to they have to get used to everything going on around them. So, but he didn't look that great, but he did have a couple nice throws. Apparently his mechanics were pretty good, though. His mechanics were on point, and he drove the ball on comeback routes pretty nicely as well. So you like to hear some negative. You like to hear the positives with the negatives, because that's what I'm going to give you. I'm never going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell you the truth on what I'm hearing. The linebacker, Trevor Nowoski, another guy that kind of got thrown into the mix last year because of injuries, looked good on some pass rush drills, did a little loop around with Marcus Davenport, got into the backfield real quick. 7th round rookie safety Dan Jackson is quick to read and react. He closes fast. He's got some flaws to his game, but he looks solid nonetheless. He's going to be a guy that's probably going to make the roster because he can play special teams, and he's a pretty good special teams player as well. And it's something that this regime covets. The wide receiver, Tom Kennedy, the fan favorite of the Detroit Lions fan base. Everybody loves Tommy Kennedy, a guy that's going to be released eventually and then brought back. That's just the way his career has kind of gone. He struggled at punt returner 2, though, behind Khalif Raymond. He muffed a punt and let one bounce out of. He let a ball bounce in front of him, and then it went out of bounds at the 5-yard line. That's a huge no-no. He got chewed out by the coaching staff. My guess is Dave Phipp was all over him, our special teams coach, and Campbell probably was losing his shit too as well. You got to be smarter than that, Tom Kennedy. You're a vet. You should know a little bit better than that. And then cornerback, another free agent guy that we brought in, Rock Ya-Sin, who's played for a few teams. He looked pretty good locking up wide receiver Tim Patrick on a couple reps. Maybe one was a tug on him, but apparently he looked really good, and he didn't really let him get a lot of separation, which is good for Rock Ya-Sin. Rock Ya-Sin. He's a guy that has started some games in the NFL, so it's a guy that's got a lot of experience, and he knows the position well. Now, Gibbs, getting more opportunities. It seems like every single year. This is his 3rd year now. Getting more opportunities. They're going to use him a lot in the passing game again. A variety of different ways. There was no David Montgomery or Sione Vaikai on Friday's practice, so you saw a guy like Kyle Robichaux out there. Got looks. Look him up. He looked pretty explosive, but again, no pads. It's hard to gauge the running backs, but I guess he did look a little bit explosive. Look him up, though, Kai Robichaux. I think that's the kid that is a hometown kid. I should have put his numbers down. I don't know in what school he went to. Sorry, guys, but yeah. But then tight end Shane Zylstra flashed a couple times. Had a nice sliding catch from Kyle Allen. You like to hear that. JMO looks a little bit bigger. If you saw videos so far of him, he said he only gained 5 pounds of muscle. He does. He looks still just as fast, but he looks like he put on some weight. He looks a little bit bigger, which is good. So, but it was a slow day for him. He didn't do much. Then rookie wide receiver Dominic Levitt and Tom Kennedy, they got some looks as well. Lovett is shifty and fast, and those guys getting looks with guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown out and a couple other guys out as well. Tim Patrick looked pretty good, looked strong over the middle, especially finding soft spots in the zone and showing good hands. Honestly, he probably has the best hands on the football team next to St. Brown, or they might be even better. Tim Patrick is a guy that does not drop passes. He really doesn't. I don't know why I wrote the starting O-line here, but I did. Left tackle was Decker. Left guard was Christian Mahogany. Center was Tate Ratledge because Ragnall was out. And then right guard, Graham Glasgow, and right tackle, Penei Sewell. That was your first O-line out there. And then defensive tackle, Chris Smith, and new nose tackle, Roy Lopez, that we acquired from the Cardinals. Well, that's a free agent. They got some first-team looks as well with the first-team defense, so that's nice to see. Linebacker Jack Campbell asked who stuck out to him on the D-line the most, and his answer was Chris Smith. Now, you don't know who Chris Smith was. He played for Notre Dame in college. I believe he was an undrafted free agent pickup as well a couple years back. He's been a guy that's always stuck on the team. It's a guy that's pretty much been on the practice squad, but he's got called up for a couple games. Now the linebackers, no Campbell, like I said, no Jack Campbell out there, no Barnes, no Rodriguez, Anzalone. So Zach Cunningham, Trevor Nowaski, and Grant Stewart all got looks with the number ones as well. Stewart got into it with someone, not really sure who it was, but apparently he got his helmet knocked off or ripped off and nearly started a brawl, but it got broken up. He's an intense kid. Safety, no Branch. He was out too as well. Avonte Maddox kind of filled in for him. It's a guy that has a little bit of versatility as well. Special teams. I'm almost done here, guys. I think this is the last bit. I'm done. Then special teams. Safety, Lawrence Strickland's been around for a couple years now. Another UDFA that stuck around. And linebacker Grant Stewart served as the personal protectors on the punt team, protecting the punter. And then Ya-Sin and Rakestraw as the first gunners up. Lovett, Patrick, Jacoby Keene James, another UDFA, and Ronnie Bell, guy that used to be on the Michigan Wolverines, who was San Francisco 49er for a couple years. They were gunners as well. And then Keene James also rotated between gunner and punt returner. So he's got a little bit of value to him right there, a little bit more value than some of the other guys because he can do a little bit of both. And special teams are big in the NFL. A lot of people don't like to talk about them. I love talking about special teams, and this Keeney James kid can do a little bit of both, on a punt return and punt coverage. So that's really good right there. So that's it, guys. That's your video. That's day 3. That was the final day of week 1 on OTAs. I'm going to try to get some week 2 information out as soon as it comes. I don't know how many days it's open to the public, to the media. It's not open to the public yet. I don't know how many days it's open to the media. It's probably going to be only 1 day again, so we'll kind of go from there. But this is how it's going to be, guys. Training camp will be a little bit different because it's going to be like every day. So I'll try to get it out to you guys as fast as I can. This is a long video. Sorry about it, but that's just the way it goes. I try to write everything down. If I miss some stuff, let me know. I really appreciate it, guys. But hey, that's it, guys. Thanks for the video. Thanks for coming into the video and watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget the notification bell up top. Don't forget to hit the ding dong. Don't forget to hit that ding dong bell. And like, share, comment. I really appreciate it, guys. Yeah, Detroit versus everybody. Lions, baby. Let's go. Football's here, guys. Can you smell it? The OTAs are here, guys. Let's go. Boom.